back on the blue side here for game number 2. Going to be pretty interesting to see whether or not... And for the series, I do want to note, with BLG winning on red side, if this does go to 5, BLG will have side select for game number 5. So that could be very, very pivotal.
What is very, very boring, if you would like to call it that, is the bans in this game too, as we always see most of the time here. Pretty stock standard. You're still seeing the Poppy priority from Top Esports. Yunara not getting into the hands of JackeyLove anytime soon. There's a lot of prime junglers still left up here. And the Pantheon is such an intriguing one conversationally. All champion that was so pick or ban, dominated split 2 a lot of the year, but now people are starting to lose faith in this pick a little bit more and more, I feel.
Champion's been nerfed. Obviously for Kanavi, seems like it's going to be something that hopefully he can use to get an early advantage. Still has a lot of that early skirmishing. Has also smite objectives that you can utilize with the Comet Spear execute as well. So let's see what Top Esports are going to opt for, whether it is going to be allowing for their side lanes to play a little bit more dangerously or a little bit further up, especially with Grand Starfall up and available, or if we're going to be looking towards a little bit more generic team fighting strength here. It seems like Top Esports are going to opt for the Ryze matchup into the Aurora, which means that Ryze should be able to get early wave clear, isn't going to really be able to duel, but once he gets 1 item, 2 items, this champion has enough HP and definitely a lot of AP to be able to duel this champion.
Yeah, scale war definitely being waged in game 2 here. And what does 369 want to go to add towards that? Well, he's got himself a pretty powerful scaling take. He's going to blind the Cassante. On the other side for Bilibili Gaming, it's classic champions that they've been able to find a lot of success with, especially the playoffs. You saw Knight get banned off the Aurora in game 1's draft. The Elk has been such a profound Sivir player with how boring it can be to kind of pilot this champion. But what does Beitwan want to grab? He sees that tank top Ulk, and the troll is coming out to answer it.
Okay, there's no Jarvan, right? So let's get a little bit more Trundle action in here. So I like this. It does mean that BLG are going to be a composition that Aurora tends to lean towards being a champion that bursts out opponents. Once you get multiple applications of her passive, fights can't go very long, but this might be a situation here where BLG can actually slow fights down and not feel too bad about getting pelted with Ryze abilities and getting maybe a Pantheon and a Cassante in the back line. Trundle will make it incredibly more difficult for that to happen, and even if he doesn't have a great ultimate target, I think that pillar is going to be very, very impactful when you have a Ryze with no flash. So back end of draft, we've talked a lot about our 2 supports, and with Rel and Alistar gone, I imagine we're going to see a little bit more pinching going on in that support pool.
Talking with you earlier, Ulk, I know you preached the fact that both these supports feel like they are unstoppable on a Nautilus pick. That one is still floating around there for both these teams as the bans do look pointed at the champion or the lanes that are still left up. We got a game 1 draft where through round 1 we had everyone picking on the same sort of plane, getting their bottom lanes and junglers adjusted early. This time you could see the priority from Top Esports. They know Bin is yet to select a top laner into 369, and adversely JackeyLove is going to start losing priority on some of the champions he likes. So seeing the Rakan to try and deny the Xayah maybe and the Lucian. What do you want to see out of the split 3 MVP by the LPL standards with how the rest of this draft has already turned out?
So for JackeyLove, what I think could work well here is maybe you take that Xayah Rakan. Obviously Rakan is already banned, and you also have the Lucian. It's going to suck having to play into the Sivir, so there might be 2 options, whether it's going to be that or if we're going to see a bit more of an aggressive option, something like a now heavily nerfed Varus. Maybe it's a Jhin composition, which allows for them to have a little bit more range alongside their team. Yeah. Playing into a Trundle and a Renekton, though, makes it a bit more difficult to make that happen. I'm kind of leaning more towards that Varus, and still Xayah, I think, does get a little bit more value here.
There's always the option to kind of lean into full scale, and the Smolder is always up there. I know it's not like the biggest JackeyLove champion, but looks like Ulk proving why he's the analyst, and I just throw out blurbs of words I see on screen, as the Jhin is not going to be locked in.
Exactly.
They're going to get the Ezreal Karma. They do 180 on us, Ulk. They want to try and run through this bottom lane.
Game number 2, by the way, and we're getting the Karma immediately. Something that our Des was talking about is where and when we were going to get this Karma pick as one of the few enchanters that these 2 players do share between each other. So Ezreal Karma going for more poke. I am a little worried here, Slayer. I don't think that Top Esports will have enough damage to get to this Sivir, and barring some massive team fight flub, maybe if Top Esports can utilize the champions that can ignore the front line and get right into the heart, into the meat of things, I think what BLG are showing, they need to play a little bit fast. They have the tools to be able to pick out certain members. I think on 2 and 3 items, Top Esports are really, really dangerous. So if this game goes late, I feel like BLG can start to feel a little bit more comfortable about themselves.
Is it Groundhog Day? I feel like I heard this exact same spiel from a Top Esports draft, maybe an hour ago.
Maybe.
Sounds pretty similar, but on the BLG side, like you talk about, ton of scale threat for our mainly player of the game from game 1 in Elk. It is, coasted on easy playing this champion, but the way he's been able to pilot it and have such insane threat in later games is what really makes Elk such a great Sivir player. He's especially been able to use that spell shield so well and kite back carefully. And as you called out, if this game goes the way BLG want to, stalling it out and waiting for the Sivir to hit those items to make Ezreal an unplayable champion, he is primed to put Bilibili Gaming up 2-0 here. But it's Kanavi and this early game. An early game that you heard our guest talk about was so eloquent and smart from Kanavi to get a lead for Top Esports. It's just got to be bigger, and they've got to move faster, or they're going to watch in a speed this series slipping further out of their grasp. It's time, though, to return to that familiar battle arena you all know, love, and hate. Summoner's Rift, Game 2, Top Esports, Bilibili Gaming.
Awesome.
You called it all.
Fans are showing up. Yeah, they said game 1 was entertaining enough. It's not going to be a 3-0, hopefully. Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed.
Maybe a level 1 here. They have some pretty strong champions to get away with it. Aurora level 1, especially with the Electrocute. Also have a Leona, but not going to be the case. Just a 5-point stack. Trying to stop JackeyLove and Hung from doing all that much damage. And what we'll need to see in this game here, Slayer, is how Top Esports will be able to actually utilize this mid-jungle here, because top lane, not really going to be too much of a factor, I think, in this game for a large portion of it. And bottom lane, despite everything that we saw from these two, Sivir after her first back, and with this teleport here for Elk, which I think is rather interesting, he is going to basically just shove JackeyLove underneath his turret at all points, even once we get into the mid-game portion where AD carries are sitting in that mid lane. So I think Top Esports do need to be a little bit creative here in this early game.
They got to lean on their double range to try and get control of this bottom lane. You mentioned the TP for Elk. One thing, as the Ezreal aficionado I do want to shout out for JackeyLove here, is rocking the Conqueror. I love this move into a tanky front line that Ezreal routinely can struggle in. Taking rid of those high health bars, Conqueror, those extended fights into a Renekton, into a Trundle, into a Leona, really utilize the most out of this Conqueror. So I'm glad that JackeyLove understands the assignment when it comes to the Ezreal rune choice.
This mid matchup also pretty heavily favored, I would say, early on into night for the Aurora. She just has all of her spells let her clear the minion wave and also burst out, and because you take Electrocute, it can be very easy. We've seen now 2 games in a row where, despite early action around night, Creme has still been able to fall to the wayside versus his mid lane opponent. So, need to be really careful. Junglers are both going towards the top side of the map, but Kanavi, most importantly, opted to skip his Raptors. So maybe a little bit more early action, maybe just wants to get ahead of the curve and maybe get a summoner spell out to help out his top laner in this kind of tough lane matchup.
Yeah, I spy a very viable lane through my eye, which would be that Renekton for Bin that you're calling out. Is he will slowly finish up that blue buff, and the wave is going to push back towards Bin here, so should be able to get back to a more safe position before Kanavi can get up there. But you called out this mid-jungle duo and that global ultimate threat. We really feel like we're waiting for, the Grand Starfall. It's so interesting how, in a meta that we saw Nocturne dominate for a very long time, we always used to preach, all right, Paranoia timer. When can we use Paranoia? How often can we get successful ones? With Pantheon and his nerfs, it really does feel like he's in a much more similar state where once level 6 comes online for this champion, we need to see those ults being utilized often. to snowball this champion further and further. And like Kanavi's tried to do in Game 1, snowball TES enough to try and outmatch the scaling or the ticking time bomb that is Bilibili Gaming.
Doesn't make a play on mid. I think also the theory about skipping his Raptors is usually we've been seeing enemy jungles and teams place wards on jungle to see if they start the Raptors up. As you can see Kanavi did as he was recalling. By not taking his Raptors, it means that he will trade the ability to get faster respawn Raptor clears, so maybe harming his future clears, at least for the next few minutes. But it does open up, I think, the lack of information that BLG will have if they were to have that ward. Obviously, they did not place down any vision, so they don't know where Kanavi is other than, I think he hit topside, the topside Scuttle Bloom. So they're like, okay, he's somewhere up there. I have to imagine he's somewhere in the area, but both of our junglers going for full clears means that more than likely we're going to get continued jungle camps being finished.
You know what we're not in the vicinity of again, Alk? Maybe a bit early to call it, but with the fact that Elk TP's back bot side and you see Bin get back to top side with his own summoner, not going to see any sort of lane swaps, which again, I thought we might see come out from Bilibili Gaming because again, they're against a bottom lane that has a lot more priority over them. And you might want to try and shift them into, you know, Elk and on into a more comfortable position. You do have the more carry-oriented top laner this time, and maybe Bin just wants to see how much of a lead he can get into that Cassante. And no need for a swap, but we do have a spot for a root here from Hong. Just setting up more poke damage here from JackeyLove and Hong. I want to see how Kanavi can use this bottom lane pressure, because we saw him steal some camps away on good timers in Game 1. And he's got to kind of play through that same lane again as we continue to tie the Game 1 and 2 draft concepts between TES.
Well, if you at home want to try to get better at jungle, maybe you just want to leverage your bottom lane to stop being pigs and continue to invade, go and check out the sponsor of LPL English, ProDiv. You can get coaching from LTA, ERLs, and NACL players, so all of these are tier 2 and below, and they'll be able to help you in individual coaching, level up your game today. You can use LPL 10, save 10% on your order at ProDiv. Thank you, ProDiv GG, for helping out. And we're not getting a swap, Slayer. We've been teasing it.
Nope.
We thought, even in the last game, the swap came a little bit later. And when we look at these two bottom lanes, I think it is up to JackeyLove and Hong to land the most amount of damage. Because for Elk, he's just scaling. He's like, okay, cool. I'm maybe down 10 CS, and I'm still going to be relevant later on.
Oh, I've seen this story play out before. Night between worlds, there's no world where you survive this mid-gank. Again, Kanavi finding first blood onto the golden left hand of BLG back-to-back games.
He has no teleport either. So there's going to be a wave that he's just missing, and it is Cannon Wave as well, right next to it. Really good find in 2 games in a row. One time is a coincidence, 2 could be the start of a pattern here. Knight absolutely bodying Rookie last time around in his last playoff series, but so far has been found twice now already in this series, and might turn into something that Top Esports can try to leverage into more gold early.
Continuing to see more shades of Game 1 here. It's Hong also getting aggressive to try and disturb Beichuan on that clear. But as much as we talk about the mid lane matchup, it's good to see Kanavi recognizing that Creme could use all the help he could get into a player of Knight's caliber, and like you called out, at least for this time round for Creme. Again, he doesn't get the kill, he doesn't get a significant gold lead, but you talk about how Elk is kind of fine just saying, all right, I'm here to scale. Whatever damage you throw my way, whatever pressure, I'll absorb it and try and just get to those item breakpoints. That is kind of how Creme can approach this early game now that he's breaking out the Rise.
He's fine, right? Like, he's gonna eventually finish his first item. He'll get closer to a Catalyst, and that'll make it very difficult, I think, for Aurora to move him out of the mid lane. There's also some pretty decent ward coverage here in the river. Most of it for BLG focused around the bottom side of the map, but Top Esports now starting to make their shift over. I mean, Elk is going to pick up this bottom lane wave. This needs to be very, very well coordinated here for TES because they're giving up golden experience to this Sivir. All the while, JackeyLove just has to clear this mid wave. I think this is an advantageous trade here for BLG, and they might even get the dragon on top of this Slayer.
And this is what we talk about when we mention the Bilibili Gaming evolution. Maybe a big part of that is Beichuan and his form, like you talked about, Elk coming to a new level ever since he re-emerged as the starter here. but it's the fact that they're not over-indexing, panicking to force fights around grubs or spots where they are not in position to do so. And you pointed it out so eloquently. You get a plate, you get solo XP waves on Elk, and they will get that dragon as a trade. So yeah, 3 grubs stinks, but BLG come out with a couple pretty big power points of their own, and we've seen so many times in the past that they would have kind of just bulldozed into a grubs fight that lost them a lot of games.
I just want you to note, everybody at home, look at where all their vision is right now. Elk teleported after this after taking that bottom lane wave. He moves into mid lane, teleports there. This entire time On is sitting topside protecting Bin so that there's not an ability for him to actually make a play there. So all in all, Top Esports look to try to make something happen. They use their 3 grubs. Maybe they can get something like a turret plate or 2 for Creme in particular. But aside from that, I would say that this sequence does end up favoring BLG all in all. Kanavi does have Grand Starfall, so the more damage they can make stick onto Bin, the better. But Beichuan's going to be able to stop this if they want, and On can be in the area in 10 seconds.
Good war there from Hong to spot Beichuan trying to take that reset. He'll be forced to stick around here as Bin takes a couple big punches of damage. Actually, a lot more than expected. Dominus going to come out. True Shot Barrage going to cancel Beichuan on his reset. What does that do to buy space here for TES? Not much, because like you talked about, the power of the Sivir, it may be a little bit earlier than expected, but this is where Sivir really makes her money. Just being such an unmovable force on mid waves that JackeyLove on an Ezreal that can struggle to wave clear compared to a lot of other AD carries is going to constantly have to answer.
Also, Elk did opt for the Cole here. So Bin uses his Dominus, teleports back up to the top side. They're able to stop Beichuan's recall, but I don't think it's that meaningful. He's still going to clear from his Raptors down into the bottom side of the map and be ready to maybe help out Knight if he really needs it. Most in all, it is just a summoner spell being taken by Top Esports and a single plate. But you were mentioning bottom lane. JackeyLove is barely up 10 CS versus his opponent right now. Even this ultimate from Knight, I think, really does not matter. There's not a fight for, there's not an objective spawning for another 3 minutes here. So unless Top Esports can punish, unless we can see them actively make BLG have unforced errors, I still think that BLG are feeling fine and Top Esports have not appropriately accelerated the game.
I think Kanavi is already starting to like panic. We haven't seen him use the Pantheon ultimate. Now he's trying to invade on a Beichuan. Doesn't even get the Gromp. Takes a fair amount of damage. Only sacrifices the Solar Flare. That's a very short cooldown. Top Esports are trying to force down this bot tier 1 turret. 4 versus 3, but 369 is not really that tanky. And bit of a head-scratching overload here from TES, a team that, again, we talked about, needs to make a ton of plays in this phase of the game. And they've come up short outside of 1 gank on the Knight so far.
So far, what I've seen from Top Esports map movements right now is that they are more focused on just trying to get gold. We saw that top lane play where they traded the dragon. That was to try to get Creme a turret plate on top side. Now here, they're going to use their 3 grubs to try to at least take down maybe another turret plate. I doubt it's going to be the turret in its totality. And maybe we'll see them start to make map movements because they do have these ultimates. I know we've been talking about the Grand Starfall, but Creme as well with the Realm Warp means that they can activate all around the map. Kanavi!
Kanavi, greedy on that blue buff, and Beichuan's going to slap him around. That was the subjugate out of the BLG jungler, so Kanavi maybe going to respect that that ultimate does go down. And there won't be much more to find here.
I love this from BLG. Like, they're saying, cool, we're down 1,200 gold. A lot of that is coming from these turret plates, but Aurora now gets alone time on this bottom lane. We got 3 plates in total, and a lot of that was going over to JackeyLove. Guess what's happening? Elk is even with his opponent here. So I think that Top Esports are a little too focused on the short term of making sure they can try to make these break points, but they're not, I think, absolutely realizing what exactly they're giving over on the opposite side of the map. So we've got Dragon spawning in 45 here. Item spikes aplenty here for BLG, but you see right now from Top Esports, they can very quickly turn off of this Dragon, look towards another side of the map, and try to get some more of that gold as these turret plates are going to fall in a moment.
Speaking on those item power spikes, Elk going to be rocking the Essence Reaver to try and keep that mana bar topped up constantly. Again, just playing into this idea that Elk is here to delete waves in the mid lane and provide BLG ample setup for those much more important future objectives Not this second dragon that's coming in about 15 seconds. It looks like so far with the pressure that Creme and Hong have brought towards this bot side that they would want to try and even out the Drake stacking, but it's a Hong reset that comes across, and that's going to open up the doors for On to get some more vision down here. And, well, we could set ourselves up for maybe an early scuffle finally coming around that dragon. We've got no TP on Knight. 369 does have that advantage if anything starts to set up.
6 versus 3 is the turret plate total here in favor of Top Esports. You're missing 3 plates, that's fine. We didn't lose a turret. We got ourselves the first dragon of the game as well. Top Esports got to see what they can do. This next mid wave is going to be very, very important. As you can already see on the minimap, Top Esports are in position. They're getting vision now, and they're denying it from their opponents. They're going to start up this dragon. There's no ability here for BLG to contest. Just going to be going, try to get some more full clears in. Another mid wave here for Elk, and just holding on to the game. Just keep it going steady. Top Esports do have some pretty important item spikes coming through, and I expect that this Otacon in 5 minutes will have the most important fight. Not just because of this objective being the way it is, but I imagine that Top Esports will have access to fully stacked Muramana and Trinity Force for JackeyLove, and same here for Creme.
Alk, I'm holding the the LPL script, like the whole season script here.
That says DMV on it. You're lying.
I'm holding the script here, and I'm confused. Like, am I just reading game 1 over again? It's so many parallels. Top Esports shut down the dragon stacking. You talked about the grubs, the short-term gold gains. We're at virtually the same gold lead they held in game 1 in about 15 minutes. And our desk was talking about it constantly. Where can the mistakes change here for Top Esports? This is where things started to kind of collapse for them. And like you called out, BLG are much more comfortable playing the long game this time round compared to that game 1. Maybe we'll be at this Rift Herald. The Kanavi is starting up alongside 369. TP's coming through for Bin. They can have Knight walk down as well. The Eye gonna get punched out here. Could it be a 50-50? Bin doesn't want it that way. He's going to pop the Dominus and try and brute force CS off. But Kanavi, with that Pantheon passive, gets the Rift Herald. But now he's getting stun locked in place. Bin, though, has to dash back out of the Dominus. Between Worlds comes across for Knight. Tries to dash around towards the backside of the fight. As On sends himself in. But Elk doesn't have enough damage and comfortability to step up. Beijuan's going to pick up the Eye. And On, with Flash, going to have to get out over the pit. Beijuan and Bin usher themselves out as well. So it's a ton of summoners burned. And it's Kanavi that walks away with the Eye in Top Esports' favor.
369, he's like, okay, I'm picking this up. I'm playing Cassante. You can't stop me from getting into this pit right here. And all in all, no kills going over. Kanavi seemed like he got caught. He flashes back out. Beijuan and Bin, they have to flash as well. And even Knight, he lands a 4-man ultimate. Doesn't get any kills there. It's pretty tough here, I think. Karma will be very, very important to whether or not Top Esports can survive some of these fights versus Bilibili. I will not lie to you here, Leo. I think when I see these teams and I see the way that BLG are playing, it isn't perfect. But this seems and feels like a BLG that is a little bit more calm, a little bit more collected in some of these fights, and more importantly, they're playing a style that I feel like Top Esports are playing very, very similarly to how BLG played a lot of the times in the regular season. So it just is a weird mirroring kind of situation to happen, especially here in the upper finals.
Well, maybe we'll see some return to skirmishing on the top side. There's the Grand Starfall through for Kanavi. Stun locked and no flash on Bin. Kanavi finally finds a pick with that global ultimate, and here comes another one. Creme gonna realm warp right on top of On, who does a good job to stun land the solar flare. But On, this turret is lying to you. This is not a safe haven. This is a warning mark, and he's going to use that Zenith Blade to try and jump onto 369, abandons the turret, and he's going to have to abandon his health bar as well. TES find the picks, but just like game 1, JackeyLove is picked off as the return for BLG.
Don't think it matters, though. Teleport's going to go down towards bottom side, so 369 is going to pick up this wave. Top Esports with 3 grubs and a Herald will grab 2 turrets in trade. BLG will finally take down this mid-tier 1. And now, Slayer, with all of the gold and finally some action here from Top Esports, that might be the gold lead that they need that gets them into a good spot going into this Otacon that we referenced 4 minutes ago. We're looking at how JackeyLove got caught. He thought he could walk into this brush again.
Same brush.
Last time it was Corky, this time it's Ezreal, and they both end the same with him dying to BLG. But now a 3,000 gold lead here for Top Esports, and they will have a pretty massive gold advantage going into Otacon. Look at those items in their inventory.
Look at 369 throwing hands here, but Knight is laying a trap. He had On and Baytron close by, so be able to walk out of that one. You talked about the items. We also want to point out that JackeyLove, as slippery as Ezreal could be, he does not have flash. Elk does. So that is pretty big to watch for some of these fights where, yes, we mentioned JackeyLove got picked out in the same spot in game 1, but he also was routinely targeted and sort of nerfed from doing a lot of big, impactful damage when he wasn't able to rely on that flash summoner. We'll see if that impacts this dragon that spawns about 20 seconds. Otacon, less than a minute away as well. But Bilibili Gaming, not strong enough in their carries just yet, I feel like, to warrant their ability to fight on an even 5v5 playing field. You still want Elk to get towards one of those big damage items. Thinking IE third, he's at 2 items now. Knight looking for one of those big magic damage items as well. But despite all this, BLG are looking for fight angles. It's just that On hit everything outside of the champions in front of him.
Oh my god.
Hong gonna have to flash away from Baytron running him down, and things are starting to get a bit murky around this pit.
Kasante's going to be able to walk over. He'll have all out. It's back to the mid waves. These next 6 minutes here for Top Esports are going to be the best that they've ever had here in this game. Muramana is fully stacked here. In 4 minutes, Creme will have a Rod of Ages completed, so imagine he'll be closer to level 15, level 16 at that point. Maybe with an Otacon, he actually gets to that 3rd point in his ultimate ability, gets more damage onto his overload stacks. And with all of the focus onto Hong, great movement coming in from the Top Esports support, opens up an angle here for Top Esports to take the dragon and continue to snowball their lead here in this game number 2.
A big pain point for BLG if they want to be able to stay present at this Otacon. I'm looking at Knight's inventory, all right? He's sitting on a massive amount of gold, it feels like. But if you can get a reset off here, he has his TP. If BLG are not going to let this Otacon go to the wayside, gotta feel like our split 3 MVP needs to get a reset in now, but he doesn't have time for it all.
They're not going to be able to go in here. There's all summoner spells and the ultimate here available for On. 369 could kidnap a single member.
Resistance is being shred by Kanavi and company. Bin gets chunked out of the fight, though, on the top side, 50-50, and this time Baytron wins it, steals away the Otacon, and now they're feeling cocky, trying to run down TES, but Baytron's going to hold his horses. JackeyLove pretty far chunked out. Bin's going to lose access to this dominance, and BLG, again, a new trait we're seeing them show in this series. Really smart restraint after they take the Otacon.
I am just absolutely puzzled as to what 369 and Creme are doing in this fight.
Oh my god,
Knight is using the ultimate?
Oh, okay, Knight. Hey, listen,
He's
Between
out.
Worlds gets you in and gets you out, and the pillar down on Kanavi. Elk's flashing
Elk?
forward for
What?
him, and gets one measly auto down. Okay.
Elk just completely messed up all of that. Teleports into the play to begin with. Flashes, cancels an auto attack. I don't know what is going on between these two. Like, we take a look back at this fight. Look at where Creme and 369 are. Why are we not stopping Baytron from walking in? You're the only front line here for this team. It's not going to be JackeyLove. It's not going to be Hung. So a massive mistake here from Top Esports. They lose that Otacon. It's going to give them some more experience going over to BLG. It doesn't equalize the gold. All in all, it is Top Esports making a few mistakes there, and maybe BLG trying to overextend, feeling a little bit more in their bag after getting that objective.
And they're buying time for that sweet wine of a scaling comp to come further and further forward. Elk, though, going to commit some, a bit of gold towards that heel cut. Do you think that's a pretty smart purchase into some of the abilities that Hong does provide for Top Esports here? But now, all of our attention does have to kind of start to shift towards Baron in about 2 minutes, as always. Looking at some of the experience gains as well, I'm glad you pointed it out. Right now, Elk, I mean, he is, nearly 2 levels up right now onto JackeyLove? It's such a big pain point, and why you see so many people talk about Otacon as the prize to get in a game of League of Legends.
And the only people that have advantages right now for top esports is going to be Kanavi and Creme. We saw last game it was Kanavi and 369, and how that went obviously was not in the cards there for top esports. But Kanavi needs to make something happen, and with these long lanes now on the opposite sides, any trades that the solo laners take could turn into a kill.
Oh,
Knight might be caught. There's still an ultimate available for Kanavi.
Oh, great. Rune Prism. He's going to use the Realm Warp to go to the other side of the Between Worlds. Knight. Redemption's going to come down here for some extra damage, but Creme can't close the gap. But guess who can? The stars falling on top of Knight. It's Kanavi using another great Pantheon ult to find a pick for top esports.
No summoner spells taken there by Knight, so 40 seconds he'll be back up, and he'll have to be ready for what is going to be a Baron in a minute, and in 10 seconds after that, the Dragon as well. Top esports feel a lot more in control now that they can actually properly play side lanes. We saw with the Annie pick, they could only maybe push one extra wave, and then Annie had to go and rejoin with the rest of the team. Nobody there to really help him out in those side lanes. So now, when Ryze is a lot more self-sufficient, good kill going on tonight, and exactly what we were looking for when you have all of these globals.
Well, we haven't gotten it in too many spots early on. It's good to see that Kanavi's still committed to finding those picks, the main strength of top esports, overarchingly as well. It's important to remember that the way TES are favored in this matchup in a lot of our minds here at LPL English is their macro and map ability. So whenever Kanavi can tap into that with Creme, it's going to provide some pretty big fruits, succulent fruits for success later here with top esports. Right now, though, they are marking this Drake pit. They're trying to make sure that they have just vision control, because it is always such a dangerous dance, such a pivotal position in a game when Baron and a late Dragon are on the Rift at the same time. That's exactly what you're getting here.
What does BLG do in this instance? Because they've got a top lane wave. 369's not going to be able to commit the teleport. Should be a turret here for Bilibili, which means gold in their back pocket. What does Elk complete here? Because he'll have teleport. He's going to teleport back into the mid lane wave. Sells a Doran's Blade before the turret falls, has this last, has the Mortal Reminder now. So armor penetration is very important versus 369, but I'll be honest here, Slayer. I really would have liked to have seen an Infinity Edge. I think when you look, you have a Trundle to take away all of the resistances from at least one member. You're also going to have natural resistances lost because All Out shreds those away from the Cassante.
Yep.
The only thing I think that's helping out BLG is this Sivir and having this mid-tier one, which right now we haven't seen, I think, top esports really utilize the longer lanes outside of that single kill on tonight we just saw.
How about such a sleeper Drake take there for TES? Hold on, Solar Flare is going to land on top of Hong, but look at the healing and shielding he gets back just like that. No real threat onto the Enchanter support for here for top esports. Again, though, Bilibili, they don't really sacrifice much. That Solar Flare should come up pretty soon as they continue to wrestle for control of this river.
It's so tough here for BLG because if they overextend on one side, Ryze is going to come through from the bottom lane wave. We're going for it now.
Bash it down the front door. Everybody get away from the Raptor pit there. That is the Realm Warp and Grand Starfall used. And the only summoner they gain is Knight, but more importantly, control around the Baron pit.
It pulled BLG off of pushing this bottom lane wave, which means that top esports are getting a little bit more gold. They've maintained about a 3,500 gold lead here.
JackeyLove, not again.
No.
He's been so mistake-prone in this series so far. He's got a flash, use the arcane shift, and use Kanavi to try and bodyguard. Ben, he's going to try and find an angle onto this Ezreal, but JackeyLove does get himself out. He has no mana, though. He is virtually out of this fight, and Ben is running amok in this backside. Enchanter down, flashes on top of JackeyLove. What a call of the meek there from Ben, showing why he is one of the premier top laners the LPL has to offer.
There we go. That's a blue buff given over them. And do they start up this objective? There is no ability for Kanavi to slide on through into the back line. He has a flash. He can use the Hextech portal, but this is just going to be the Baron going over to BLG. JackeyLove gets caught yet again. Way too much damage. And Beichuan on this Trundle. We're going to see top esports re-enter.
They don't have Grand Starfall, there's no Realm Warp, and they don't have the numbers to fight here. Creme already having to flash away from Ben, trying to kite back desperately, but he is all the damage. 369 goes all out, but he is all done for with all those resistances shred. It's a stall game coming out here from top esports. They've done a good job pulling BLG away from this Baron pit, but if they lose Kanavi, the turn back will be even sweeter towards the Purple Worm, and they'll do just that. Kanavi and 369 trade out places with JackeyLove and Hong getting picked off earlier.
All right, mid-wave, it means no Baron. BLG have spent too much time chasing these members around the map. And a massive mistake yet again for Top Esports. This time, they at least are the ones with the Dragon Soul in their back pockets. A teleport here from Bin.
Hex G2.
Guardian Angel.
Oh, and Dominus. This is a big bad croc, but they gotta deal with the troll with a club first. Hong spawned back in and gets sent back out, expedited shipping. And now BLG turn towards the Baron again. Kanavi up at 10 seconds with the Grand Starfall. Creme still present here, but 369 has to run his way all the way back over. And this time, third time's going to be the charm. Bilibili Gaming wearing purple on all 5 members.
Now, BLG, we have to fix these side lanes right now. We have a Dragon spawning in a minute and a half. We have to push this top wave coming on through. This bottom lane as well. They use their Baron right now to sit in mid lane. JackeyLove's going to take a little bit of time to clear this, but that is going to be the next order of business here for Bilibili. As they walk in a single Scryers and the last second cancel onto JackeyLove means that BLG, they get back their 3,000 gold deficit. They grab the Baron and multiple kills onto Top Esports.
It's just so painful knowing how well JackeyLove has been playing, not just all split long to receive his MVP, but even in these playoffs. You could say it's been weaker opponents, but JackeyLove has been in such prime position, and he's been nothing but on point this series. And oh boy, we're just going all after Creme. Nice Seraph Shields, bro. See you later. Bin is running this game 2 for BLG.
They're going to drop this mid-tier 1 and set themselves up around this Dragon that spawns in 30. How much more can Top Esports get? It'll probably be at least this mid-tier 1. It is Sivir by herself, but On and Beijuan are here. They don't even get the turret at all. Top Esports are crumbling, and I think that this comes at a really important time, not only for their carries, but for JackeyLove. We talked about it earlier in one of their earlier series here, but JackeyLove with a lot of health issues right now, being outspoken about potentially his future, being undecided here in the space. So what could be one of JackeyLove's last playoff runs? This is not the way that we want to see what the official LPL broadcast dubbed as the MVP for split number 3. BLG will be able to grab their second Dragon of the game and at least deny Top Esports from grabbing a Hextech Soul.
Royalty in JackeyLove as well as we didn't have time to broach the conversation of Hong. Just completely picked off. Starting to really feel the pains of playing enchanters in this current meta, and it doesn't help that he's just been caught playing the Vision War constantly, and the spoils of war here for Bilibili Gaming. There's 1 tier 2 turret down in the mid lane. It's going to be Knight gobbling up the second here. And just like game 1, the later game stage, the post 30-minute phase, a phase I do want to mention, by the way, was talked about as kind of the Goldilocks zone here for BLG. They've been a team that have been kind of scorned by their scaling factor. And again, it all goes back to these conversations we're having that this just feels weird because this is just not the BLG that we've gotten accustomed to.
No, they're a team that always average in the LPL was 1,300 gold difference at 15. These guys were incredibly strong. Knight was the #1 mid laner in Group Ascend to have a positive gold difference at 15. He was at 485. Elk as well was one of the leading 80 carries. So it felt like every single lane was really firing on all cylinders when we got into the early game. Late game became a bit of an issue. They've always struggled with objective setups. Now here in this game, it almost feels like, yes, Top Esports are playing the style that we have known from them, which is a full court press, play with priority, let's play around Kanavi, but I feel like BLG are allowing Top Esports to make mistakes. They're saying, okay, we know you're going to trip up, let's just take the scaling because we know that in scaling wars or in a setup, if we're talking about hands difference going later in the game, we think we're better than you. So who cares about lane? Get ourselves a team fight comp that's going to work around 25 to 35 minutes and let the game just come to us. You have to beat us. You have to prove that you can take our Nexus.
You have to prove that you are up to the talent level that we bring. That's the message BLG is saying with this new strategy. And you talk about the team fight compositions, and There's a big topic that we had before all those big Barons. Okay, hold on. They're going after Elk here, and they might finally have him. Good McHale's, though. Elk gets himself out, but Kanavi wants to flash after him. That desperation coming through again. He has his GA, but he doesn't have Elk. They instead get on. Between Worlds comes across from Knight and Bin. Look at him holding all of TES at bay here. Creme tries to focus all of his attention, but it's actually JackeyLove that's able to layer some pretty good damage. Down goes Bejuan. Elk steps back up, and they're trying to burn through that healthy bar from 369, but it's not enough. Finally, the 5-man full court press finds itself some more gold.
There it is. It's going to be mid-tier 1, and a fight that was so close to going towards BLG ends up falling towards Top Esports. It is going to be JackeyLove, Creme, and Hong alongside Kanavi all losing their flash, but you will take it with how the way this game has been going, the way this series is starting to trend. 2 turrets as well. A lot of gold now for them to be able to spend. JackeyLove hits his 4th item here. Back at this replay, they thought Elk was a little too far up. They know he doesn't have Spell Shield. I think that is really, really clean play coming on through. But one of the things we haven't touched on this game has been the evolution in supports. Cubby has been talking about redemption. We saw in the JDG series that Droll was focusing more on picking up McHale's, and we see that here, 4 on this Leona. And Knight only gets 1 member with this ultimate. JackeyLove living as well, I think, is so crucial to this fight, but a lot of small things, and that's what it's going to come down to. We're talking about top-level teams.
JackeyLove heard the doubters getting louder and really pilots that fight on the edge of his limits there. And like you called out, Hong, the value of this karma, the McHale's, the redemption, and more importantly, the big mantra shields. Is it still, though, going to be enough Elk to try and contend with BLG? Because we talked about Elk's build path being maybe a problem, but that's a pass now. Elk's got the IE, and if they can do a better job protecting him, feels like we still favor Bilibili Gaming with the game 35 minutes post.
He has no flash coming on through. If I'm Elk, I'm saying, okay, we have to be able to play a front-to-back team fight. Dragon is spawning in 35. BLG, if they can pull off a gambit here, if they can see if they can bait their opponents, they know they're not on Baron. Creme is just now walking. If he shows on vision, do BLG immediately just try to call their bluff, look for someone? The Trundle Pillar barely escorts 369 out of this mid wave. BLG are going to exit towards the top side. Who is going to solo this Dragon? They cannot give up any kind of priority around the bottom side of the river.
I think BLG want to switch spots here with TES. They know that they need to get this Hextech solo. Oh my, True Shot Barrage. And the poke coming through for JackeyLove. He's starting to feel himself now, chaining some of these spells together, and making BLG think twice about stepping in range of the poke that's Rise and Ezreal are really starting to bring. Mystic Shot after Mystic Shot.
That's it.
Health bars evaporating.
Surely Top Esports can't lose with a Hextech soul, right? Right, guys? They've got a mid-wave, they'll recall. Hong can look to use some of these portals to get back out onto the map. Maybe they're just going to try to posture around this Baron right now. Top Esports, this is the longest. It's only game 2. I feel like we've been in this for so much longer, but with the way that this game has gone, now with the Hextech Soul, have to imagine that Top Esports are in a really strong spot in this game, but how do we deal with Sivir? How are we going to get around some of these really important timings on some of these champions? I mean, still no flash for the next 30 seconds.
Okay, Creme. Don't know what that Realm Warp was supposed to be.
It was a bait. He was like, okay, maybe they'll just send it in on the Realm Warp here.
Yeah, instead BLG smack away the hook with the bait on it and say thank you very much. It does push them off the Baron. BLG really trying to force us down. JackeyLove can even see this blade. Good arcade shift back though, and boy, Owen is getting punched down by JackeyLove. Knight's gonna try and go after him next as the Grand Starfall falls onto the back line. Where is Elk? Him and Knight are cowling away from the team here as the GA gets popped by Bin. Respawns back up. JackeyLove, though, is just layering all these Mystic Shots. Sure, Knight, you go into your stasis, but JackeyLove says, Knight, you can pick me off once, but I'm making it a problem for the rest of this game.
BLG can hold on to their waves, though. Elk is not recalling. He's going to contest them on this mid-wave. Bin can teleport back in. And what a legendary fight between these two players, JackeyLove and Knight. The fight for MVP. The fight for who is really the crown prince of Top Esports. Knight growing up on this academy team, JackeyLove now.
Oh, he's still just so confident, playing right on the edge of his range. Baron secured, Bane on the backside of this fight, doesn't have any dominance. Kanavi's going right after Elk. Good spell shield comes down, but Bejuan falls first. Elk, how good can you kite back here? Trying to buy some space. Kanavi gets knocked out of his jump. Elk, though, is going to get knocked down by JackeyLove again, who finds his revenge and is scaled back into prime form when TES needed it most.
Even gets a heal off of that Mikhail's. Bin not able to cancel the recalls here. Maybe he finds this kill on the Hong. He's going to get double teleports from top esports.
Run, Bin, run! All right, that solar flare is pretty clutch, but here's a realm warp. Oh, Creme, he's going to take it this time. 3 members, Rune Prism, Bin, no GA to save you, and Creme is going to chase him down with the power of the Mantra Karma, and he wants Knight's Name too, forcing a flash trade, and they're bringing the Baron Wave right knocking on the door of BLG's base.
This is game number 2 going over to top esports. Iffy midsection there, but top esports get it done in the end, and Creme really stands tall alongside his AD.
Oh, Knight goes after Hong, but he'll happily sacrifice himself. Knight's trying to pull away the wave from the turret here alongside On. Bejuan is respawned. That redemption is pretty clutch, but JackeyLove has his eyes set on an even series, and there's nothing BLG can do to stop him. The LPL Split 3 MVP evens our series up at 1 apiece.
That's what I like to see, man. I was so worried. We got to that one team fight around the Dragon, and it looked a little iffy. And Otacon even goes over to BLG, and top esports clean up the series. A lot of important champions now taken, already 2 games deep into Fearless. And with BLG losing here, I feel like such important champions. Aurora taken away from Knight, and a loss as well. Renekton taken away from Bin. The topside matchups are really starting to open up between our 2 solo lanes.
And on top of that, too, Marksman Elk has been a huge Sivir player. You lose that off of him as well. We have the Enchanter coming out. There's so many intriguing little intricacies that Fearless will now provide to us, especially now knowing we will go at least 4 games thanks to top esports. What a series it has been so far, and what a job our analyst desk has to break down it all. We're going to throw it back to their side. Grapes, Cubby, and K-Man, what did we just see from top esports?
Well, we see the LPL Gold Graph incarnate in the form of JackeyLove in that game. My name is Grapes, that's K-Man, and that is a YouTube video, aka Cubby, here to break it down this second game. As Slayer said, a true series now. Its competition has reached its apex with top esports evening things out at 1-1. K-Man, it was another slow start for TES, and we thought that they were going to get outscaled, and then JackeyLove hit a switch, and now we are here tied at 1.
Yeah, scaling's really a mindset at the end of the day. You can look at champions. Some are better, some are worse in the late game. If you've got JackeyLove, you scale. You maybe have some moments in the early part of that game that are up and down, that you got some good and bad, but really, if you've got an Ezreal who's gliding at the end like that, and proactivity coming in from some of the engages from other members of the team, then it doesn't really matter if the damage is looking more consistent. You're going to be able to pull something like that out.
Yeah, I mean, look, it was JackeyLove. Like, we were prepping about talking about him getting caught, not playing well, and then JackeyLove just ends up 1v9ing, frankly, the last 2 fights. This was a game where the Ezreal Karma could be good. There's not a lot of range on the BLG side, and JackeyLove, he was down like 2 levels to Elk. Did not matter in those fights because he was using the Ezreal so well.
3 levels. I think it was 15 to 18 around that fight in the mid lane inhibitor, and man, what a different... What a tale of 2 halves of this game, especially for somebody like JackeyLove. I mean, we talked about some of the struggles that he's had kind of throughout the season and the inconsistencies that maybe could be attributed to some of the health issues that he's been going through as well. But really turning things to a new gear, Cubby, this split. And you know, at the end of the day, this game, we still have seen some of those mistakes that were prevalent earlier on, but something that always has been the case for JackeyLove this year is even when he was making some of these individual mistakes early in games, he would always be able to clutch up late, and we saw that right here.
Yeah, I mean, JackeyLove, look, he was the MVP for a reason, and it came out, like, we were sitting here on the desk in that mid-game, like, man, I mean, I tweeted out, if JackeyLove was playing 20% better, I think the top esports could be up 2-0. I think he stepped up and played 50% better in the last few fights and got the team the win, because we have seen him get picked off a little bit, and this isn't the JackeyLove that we're really used to seeing in the LPL. I mean, I know when this guy was young and winning early on, it was like, oh my god, he's such a volatile player. Like, there are issues that we can figure out later on because his upside is so big. He hasn't been that in the last couple years in the LPL. He's actually been a pretty consistent, solid AD. We, of course, see moments where he still steps up, and make some errors, but he really has flushed those out of his play. But man, we saw the aggression at its peak this game. I think that as things went later on, we really saw the Leona and BLG struggle to close the gap and actually find these engages. And Top Esports, with the karma, with the redemptions and some of the resets and the range they had, played out these long fights very well. But yeah, this is the point of the game, K-Man. We were looking at this like, man, what is JackeyLove doing? Like, this is the second time in the game where he got caught at a really bad spot for his team. And the conditions of Ezreal being no mana and low health and being chased out early on, thanks to Bin playing well around it, pretty much lost his team the fight and made it so that he had to really find heroics later on to win this game for his team.
Yeah, that's the crazy part, right? Is that for 20 minutes of this game, we were talking about, man, JackeyLove is selling it. Like, he is running it, absolutely losing this series for his team in multiple winnable areas with bad positioning, bad resource management, just everything, right? Like, down in XP and levels, it just felt like everything was off for him. So leave it to JackeyLove to be the one to, you know, kind of step up. I know a lot of conversation has been made about, you know, JackeyLove going through quite a few things this year, and this potentially being one of the last few times we get to see him. You know, he's certainly making an impact on the game as a whole. I think the optimism here for TES is if JackeyLove plays, you know, even just a couple of notches down from this, but, you know, closer to this in the early game, like, you should be up 2-0. You should be in a spot where you're controlling this series. And, you know, they've looked pretty fantastic as long as they're able to get that kind of good play out of their AD.
I mean, seeing TS go for that play, diving the mid lane tier 1 and losing a member early, I was very worried about what that was going to look like for them, but JackeyLove ends up just hitting every single spell, winning that fight for them. And, you know, we'll be able to continue Sugar Talk and JackeyLove a little bit more as we get later on into this death segment. But talking about BLG here as well, Cubby, it seemed like with On being the primary engaged on this Leona, those win conditions were never getting laid out properly.
No, and I think that it really started, it was an earlier replay, but it was Kanavi finding Elk in that mid lane after he burned the spell shield that really started the chain of events for Top Esports to bounce back in. I think something that was shown off screen that we might talk about is that Hextech Soul, which was a game changer, was pretty much lost by On, deciding to lose half his HP and his redemption before the Dragon even spawned or was started. I do think that Leona wasn't the best pick for this game. Like, with the Leona, I think you're definitely signing up for, okay, guys, we've got Renekton, Aurora. I know that we have Sivir, but we have to win and find ways to close the gap and pressure this early game, or else we could have some trouble. I think that as the game went later on, we saw Leona kind of struggle with some of these engages. I don't think that On had a particularly good game, but the Leona definitely left me at least scratching my head a bit. I think that other options might have been better that game going into the Karma. Like, you could have... they have played a lot of Trundle Karma as a combo, which I really like. And you could have had On, like, dig deep for something like a Lulu there. I know that your lane gets really hard. Actually, Lulu against Ezreal Karma is pretty impossible, but I'm wondering if there was a better pick for lane that On could have taken, or even just Nautilus to have that guaranteed depth charge. We've really seen Nautilus fall out of priority, but I think that was a game where it was somewhat viable, because we saw Leona really struggle later on.
Yeah, I think the Leona ended up being basically useless throughout this endgame. Like, there was almost no play that ended up being valuable to have that champion. I will give a lot of the onus of that onto On's performance. I think that there could be some potential areas for improvement in terms of the execution of that. But I agree. I think Leona is difficult to execute on here. And if you are going to be playing for what essentially BLG was doing, which is looking at the early game here, seeing Top Esports want to push the tempo and saying, you got it. Like, we're going to neutralize the game. We're just going to play this really slow. If that's what you want to do, then go for it. But Creme actually going to pick up the MVP here, likely due to JackeyLove's early one.
I thought that it was a Kanavi MVP just because he turned the game around. But one thing that's been a commonality in these first two games we've had has definitely been a focus that Kanavi